So has the State Capture Commission hit its first hurdle? Well, to discuss, we're joined by Dr. Sethulego Matebesi. He's live with us from our studio in Bloemfontein. Doctor, thank you for being with us. So how serious are the claims, are the concerns that the EFF is raising?
Well, if it was a couple of years ago, I would have said one would actually have stated that it is within the DNA of opposition parties to complain about everything that happens in South Africa. But if you look at the track record of the EFF in South Africa, in the South African political landscape, we are where we are today with the State Capture Commission as a result of the pressure that the EFF have actually put on the National Parliament and even the ruling party. So there's a bit of credibility in some of the pronouncements that have been made by the EFF. One thing that I also want to highlight from the outset is that it will definitely create a lot of doubt about the credibility of this commission if Justice Zondo is not going to deal with some of these serious allegations that have been highlighted by the EFF.
What about Terence Nombembe himself? So this is linked to the Gupta company trillion. Does he have to start talking very quickly?
Yeah, one should be very cautious in that approach. We should remember that he did not receive the money, if that is true, in his personal capacity, but through the organization that what he was representing. But for the mere fact that Advocate Terence Nombembe never actually publicly acknowledged that brings serious doubt about his credibility. And at the end of the day, if there's any trust deficit about any member of this commission, I strongly foresee a situation where there will be serious concerns about the credibility of this commission.
All right, so you're saying there has to be some sort of response. What about the EFF itself? Surely it's got to be careful because, you know, they blew the alarm on the cabinet changes. People understood their concerns. But if they complain about everything that happens, surely that voice doesn't have the same strength every time.
Well, I mean, if you look at the EFF currently, they are actually dictating the terms of our political landscape. But as I've indicated from the outset, I would have been alarmed if there was not some sort of credibility in some of the things that the EFF highlighted. If you look at many of the issues that have been highlighted by the EFF, there have been some form of credibility. It was the EFF, even way before our former public protector highlighted some of these issues about state capture. It was the EFF who highlighted that concerns around state capture. It was the EFF from the very outset when it started who came up with the whole issue of land expropriation without compensation. And today, the ruling party has actually taken over, joined the bandwagon. So I would say, yes, those are concerns that Judge Zondo and even, the president will have to revisit because the moment if there are concerns, they need to be investigated so that everybody in South Africa knows that at the end of the day, we're putting behind ourselves a very painful episode in our life. We should remember the allegations about state capture has huge consequences or implications beyond our political leaders. If you look at, there are many families that goes to bed without having access to a slice of bread because of money that is being diverted to private pockets. And at the end of the day, we cannot have a commission, in any case, a commission where once again taxpayers' money will be be spent. A lot of other resources will be invested in this commission, and yet at the end of the day, there will be serious doubts about that. I think it's still early stages. The judge can actually revisit some of the complaints or the concerns of the EFF, and then maybe later on make a pronouncement on that to say, look, I did investigate some of the allegations, and I am still convinced that I'm going to continue with the team that I have. There's absolutely no doubt about the composition of Judge Mbembe's team. More than 100 years of legal experience. But if you've got one or two members where there are doubts about them, I definitely foresee a situation that it's going to be a long, drawn-out situation where the EFF will definitely even approach the courts of law in this regard.
And get political mileage out of it all the while. In finality, if this turns out to be proven a credible process and they really respond to the claims, what can South Africans expect? Because you were talking about another commission, the arms deal. Huge expense, but still claims hovering around that deal. Is this something that can categorically lay to bed all our concerns about state capture?
Well, I mean, if you look at the current political landscape in South Africa, definitely, especially post the Nasrec conference of the African National Congress, there is a huge possibility that this commission will at least be a very credible process. And at the end of the day, South Africans can actually take pride in that we've got a democracy which is alive. And I think we tend to underestimate some of the things that happens during our lifetime. I don't think any other democratic countries will allow their own leaders to be exposed like that. And yet we have taken a very painful decision. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at the other team leaders of this particular commission, I still believe that they are credible. But when one cannot dismiss the issue that have been raised by the EFF, they have shown on numerous occasions that they do sometimes come up with very credible concerns that will have huge implications for all of us in South Africa. We should also take note that even potential investors will also have an interest in how this commission is actually been led, and also the rating agencies will also want to see how we deal with some serious allegations of corruption in our country.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Sethulego Matebesi, and saying there that the State Commission inquiry has to be shown to be credible. Those concerns raised by the EFF have to be dealt with. Thank you very much for your time.